A little girl made to feel unwanted and unloved by her verbally and emotionally abusive mother, a doting father who nevertheless runs off and is not seen again, finding comfort, solace, if you could call it that, in friendship with a demonic, evil spirit that manifests to her as an imaginary friend, encouraging her to do all sorts of horrible, dangerous, and destructive things. As a grown woman, it will come back for her again when her marriage is falling apart. It will pass on to a new generation by the end of this nightmarish, horrific flick. This is 1991. Phoebe Cates, Carrie Fisher, Marsha Mason, Drop Dead Fred. Now you might be thinking, what are you talking about? Drop Dead Fred? It's a fun movie. Really? It's a horrific movie. It's a totally devastatingly bad movie. I'm, flipping through possible things to add to my watch list. I had never seen it. It came out in 91. Phoebe Cates, Carrie Fisher. You can't go wrong. This is like 80s, the 90s just beginning, but it's the 80s nostalgia. I mean, how could you go wrong? And it goes horribly, horribly wrong. I have no idea what they were thinking of with this movie. So yes, it apparently is meant to be lighthearted, I guess, not demonic, but Drop Dead Fred is a horrible, horrible imaginary friend, encouraging the making of mud pies, of dog feces all over the furniture, the destruction of property, pretending to be burglars until the police actually come. And there's this dangerous episode of, it's just really something else. Now, clearly, I imagine that someone that goes through this sort of emotional abuse, Phoebe Cates' character, the little girl now grown, we get from the flashbacks and the present time, her mother literally tells her that she had her just to try to save her marriage and it didn't work. She actually blames the child for the dissolution of the marriage. I mean, yeah, mom is no joy to be around, and certainly this might cause a child to be acting out in any number of ways that are destructive and maybe blaming it on an imaginary friend. And yet the apparent lighthearted way that they're trying to sell this to us doesn't work with that. It's gonna have to be one or the other. If you made, to make the story better, if you sort of downplayed the level of abuse emotionally that's going on, if you downplayed the level of destruction and made things just more fun, if Drop Dead Fred himself were a little bit more funny and less creepy, it could have worked as a return of an imaginary friend from childhood that used to make you be a little scamp because things, were not perfect. They never are. But this is really something. This is one step away from Drop Dead Fred telling her to get a knife and stab her mother. I mean, this is demonic stuff. And how it has affected the girl now grown up. He calls her snot face. That snot face and her marriage, which is abusive also emotionally, though not physically, just like what she grew up with her mother. Husband constantly cheating on her, putting her down, using her, keeping her in this place, and she's always wanting to go back because, men only leave if you're not a good girl, and you've got to be a good girl. Going through all of these devastating things in her life, I don't know how to say it enough. It just doesn't work to try to make it lighthearted. It's almost as if they saw Beetlejuice and were trying to give us a demonic figure that was funny, but that phantasm, ghostly, demonic figure of Beetlejuice, which I didn't like that movie either, was meant to be a creature of the grave side of reality and be funny. And as much as I didn't like it, it worked better there. Your imaginary friend should be more fun than this, or else it's one step away from being Mr. Howdy from The Exorcist. Mr. Howdy. It's just overwhelmingly bad. I just cannot believe I've heard about it my whole life, mentioned. One of the movies I had never seen right at the end of my high school years, so it was like 91, but tacked on the late 80s for me, like it's part of an era. Oh, I should go back and see it. I watched it. Man, it was literally the first half, you're staring at it going. The second half, it was so painful that it was actually hard to watch. It's done so poorly, and yet there's so much there had it been done better. It needed to be a whole lot more serious and dark, or it needed to be a lot more lighthearted, and the story needed to be more fun. Something had to give in there, and at the end, finding out that this creature is now terrorizing another little girl, telling her to do crazy, stupid, dangerous, and outrageous things, and you're supposed to be, oh, isn't that great? Drop Dead Fred is still around. And your actual feeling, if you're anywhere this side of, I guess, I don't know, sane, your reaction is more like, really? He's going to do this to another kid? Oh, good Lord. It's hard to put into words if you haven't seen it. You probably have. I think I was the last one approaching my age to not see it. But if you've not seen it, check out Drop Dead Fred and let me know what you think. It will definitely be a memorable experience.